Choose your fighter. What game is this? Fight. She's so cool. Alyssa Thomas usually makes her highlights bulldozing the competition and beating up on, well, everyone. But that's not everything she brings to the game. You see, she's not like other girls. She's different. For example, this 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-Defensive Team, all-time leader in points, rebounds, double-doubles at Maryland. Cool, I know. She also just previously won the Defensive Player of the Year award in the EuroLeague. She's been a steals leader in the WNBA, rebound leader, etc. She basically does all the little things. This season, she's only averaging 10 points, along with 9 rebounds, along with 7 assists. Yeah, basically a triple-double. The crazy part is most of what she does doesn't show up on the stat sheet at all. In my MVP video I did last week, I explained that she's your favorite player's favorite player. She fixes so many gaps in her team, offensively, defensively, and is leading the Connecticut Sun to 2nd place in the overall standings. So today, we're going to break down Alyssa Thomas and see what it is that makes her so good. So very first play of the game here. Oh, hey. So, yeah, future editing me here. Again, hi. So watching this playback, yeah, there weren't a lot of highlights. You know, I just pick games randomly and end up breaking those down. However, IQ, fundamentals, all the small things, all the little things that you can control. There's tons of that in here. So yeah, just a heads up, let you know what you're getting into. And yeah, thanks for watching. So very first play of the game here, already something to talk about. That's why I love players like Alyssa Thomas. Like we can literally stop at every single play and talk about some things she's doing well. Right now she's in help. She's actually starting on Chelsea Gray. I thought she would start on Asia Wilson. I guess it makes sense though because Brianna Jones is going to take Asia. But Alyssa Thomas is here in help. And one thing she does this play already is she's always in the right spot. She sees the ball and her player, so she doesn't get back cut hardly ever. She discourages some drives, but she also gets over a screen, which we're going to see. Dejanay Carrington does a pretty good job as well. So they're running drops, which is just going to keep Brianna Jones back to the basket, so she doesn't have to come out and guard guards, which would be a mismatch. But their team, their guards are so good at fighting over screens that she doesn't really get in trouble. So DeWanna Bonner does have to help because Kelsey Plum has a direct drive to the basket. Dejanay does a good job still fighting over, so they don't have to switch. But you see Alyssa Thomas still seeing both. Now she's the low help. She doesn't turn her hips to the ball or to her player, so she's seeing both, so discouraging the drive as the ball comes to her side. Now she closes out. You can see Chelsea Gray kind of hesitates for half a second. Looks like she's about to shoot it, but Alyssa Thomas is able to get there. And then this is something that I talk about all the time with players. So players, especially young players, but honestly, it happens at every level. A lot of players will get hit with a screen, and I call it getting defeated by the screen. What you want is to fight over or fight through it. So she's made a decision. As you can see, their team is playing drop coverage. So she's got her job is to fight over. What they're going to live with is this mid-range jump shot, but what they don't want to happen is just anything to the basket or going under and giving up open threes. So drop coverage is really tough on your guards. It's really hard. If you've never had to fight over a screen and chase, it's really tough and it's really physically demanding. So watching it done properly, it's a thing of beauty. Alyssa Thomas fighting over still discourages the mid-range jump shot as well. No one even has to help. Sorry, that's my ice maker, but not even one player has to help Alyssa Thomas here. Dejanay Carrington is able to stay on her player, and honestly, she can just deny. No one has to help. We're actually out of position. Harris actually is caught looking at the ball and not seeing her player. She should actually be up the line a little bit because Alyssa Thomas didn't need help, so she should actually be denying her player. Doesn't happen, it's fine. But yeah, that's something that Alyssa Thomas does really well. That so many, I'd say 90% of players in the WNBA, but the NBA as well, can't do that. And these are things that, you know, when they're rating defensive player of the year, like I know Rudy Gobert got a lot of hate, but these are a lot of things that he fixes in the defense. So if 90% of the league is not good at fighting over screens, if they're not good at seeing ball in man and they're not in the right spot all the time, sometimes having a big that can just deter a lot of that stuff. That's why those guys are so valuable. Again, that's a discussion for another day, but that's what Alyssa Thomas brings to her team. Kelsey Plum, she ends up hitting this, but if this is the only type of shot that the Aces are going to get, this is great defense. Again, process driven, not results. This is something we spoke about in the Fever game that I just recently broke down for Caitlin Clark. Again, this is not going to show up on the stat sheet, but obviously they want to go at Asia Wilson. They've got Brianna Jones, who's got the size, but you want to go at the other team's best player early on. Just see if you can get some cheap fouls. So what Alyssa Thomas does here, this is where she's at. It's very simple, very subtle, but she just goes and sets an away screen. It's kind of a dummy action. It's not really trying to get someone open. She doesn't even do it like at full speed, but it's enough to get her player here to just look and have to respect it, which allows Brianna Jones to go one-on-one. So again, this is something a lot of people aren't going to break down or ever talk about, but these are the things I notice with these types of glue players, and it's very underrated. Right here you can see it. So instead of standing, so her player is the high help at the moment, which Brianna Jones, if she wants to go middle, it's going to be tough. But instead, just a little simple away screen. All these players doing exactly what we pointed out Alyssa Thomas does not do. She sees her player and the ball. So right here, by causing just a little bit of commotion, it makes these players have to turn, look, think about navigating the screen, which will allow the one-on-one. And you can see it right here. Both players worrying about how they should navigate the screen. Honestly, they should just be backing up and not worrying about the screen. You should be okay with this skip pass. That's the pass you should be giving up, but instead they allow the one-on-one. Gets right to the middle. For any post player, that's a very high efficient scoring area. And does score. So yeah, little things. Does it again here. So navigates the screen, goes under, but now she's up on the ball. So one thing to do if you know there's going to be screens is to actually get up into the offensive player to not give them as much space to work off of this. So again, they are in drops. Alyssa Thomas knows she has to get over. She is responsible for her player. They're not just going to switch it. So being up and pressuring make it a little bit more difficult, gives you a little bit of room to work with. Now that screen is set high above the three-point line, but look how much space. Look how much space she's created. So all this space, she gets to navigate. That's hers now. She's won that matchup. That's all her space to get through that screen. So she actually doesn't even need any help right here. Gets all the way through. She gets back in front of Chelsea Gray before she pretty much as she gets to the three-point line. Bonner actually shouldn't be this far. I wouldn't help from the ball side corner, but she's long enough she can still probably contest this shot. But really, Alyssa Thomas, she doesn't need help. she just does not need help. And it allows Brianna Jones to stay and pretty much guard this one-on-one. This is where Asia Wilson has the advantage though. Drives. And honestly, that's a tough shot, but she's having one probably the best season of all time. So you live with that. The way Connecticut plays is they kind of interchange. Like Alyssa Thomas can play multiple spots. So if she's the first big down the court, she's playing the four. But if she's the first one, she'll go seal or she'll play the post spot rather than Jones. She does that here. Simple drag screen in transition. Harris holds up for just a second, just to give Thomas half a split second to get to the basket. She does. Really nice pass. Simple little drag screen out of transition. All right, so even plays like this, she's good at adjusting on the fly. So Kelsey Plum, 2 plays ago, she was able to catch here and beat Harris off the dribble. She got all the way to the basket for a left-hand layup. Now that Alyssa Thomas is here, that's her responsibility. Kind of Brianna Jones as well, but she's opposite the ball. She's the low help, so we call this the captain. That's her help. it gets tough because Kelsey Plum ends up on this side of the court kind of, to where now she's also one pass away. But Alyssa Thomas is able to just kind of stuff this play, even though she's in a bad spot. So she knows she can't help early, otherwise Chelsea Gray is wide open. She knows she can't help late, otherwise Kelsey Plum gets a layup here. But she's able to just get her hand in enough to make Kelsey Plum pick up her dribble. And then this is what she does excellent. So she's still got her hand in the passing lane. So Chelsea Gray doesn't have a perfect angle. She actually has to throw it a little bit here, which makes Chelsea Gray catch on the move, which gives Alyssa Thomas just a split second longer to get out and contest this shot. And she does. She gets the contest. Chelsea Gray, she can make that shot. Don't get me wrong. It's not like she's going to hold her to 0 points with that, but she turned a for sure layup for the Las Vegas Aces into a contested 3 instead. So again, just little things she does that I don't think gets enough credit. She's also running the lane. So one thing, so what I would be teaching young players too is I would have thrown it already. We want players to make their decisions in transition before half court, one or two dribbles at the max. So she was open. She went and sealed. She has the mismatch. She just throw it to her, throws out of bounds. It was the right play. It was just super late from Carrington. But, man, you just see the versatility of Alyssa Thomas. So there's a lot of value for players that can do what Alyssa Thomas does. This is like a Yabusele who played for France in the Olympics. He just got a contract back into the NBA. But he's kind of this player that's a little bit undersized but still strong enough to where they don't really fit as a post player. They don't really fit as a guard. Kind of a utility guy or utility woman in this case. But Alyssa Thomas, probably her best offensive attribute is just being a ball mover. As soon as she catches it, again, as a Asia Wilson or Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, we would expect a drive. So right here with this one-on-one, we would want to drive and a layup or catch and shoot. But Alyssa Thomas is not as skilled as some of those players with scoring and things like that. So instead, she goes straight into a ball screen with Bonner. Dribble handoff, sorry. Yeah, pass and follow on ball. We get the screen here. Obviously, they're in drop coverage too, so everyone's going to say drop coverage sucks, don't do it. But we see like the Connecticut can do it really well. The Aces try to run it here, just half a second late, but they have to recover to Thomas because she just scored out of a pick and roll. So now this help defender is worried about Alyssa Thomas scoring, and so she leaves early. It's still a really good contest. Bonner obviously has the height advantage, but just being that ball mover role that we talk about, that's what she does for her teammates, and it really it makes it so tough to guard. All right, I feel like this whole video is just going to be me stopping at every play talking about how good Alyssa Thomas is. But if we watch up here, Chelsea Gray, so this is kind of a secondary transition break, so they don't have anything. We've got Asia Wilson in the trail like we broke down with the Lynx video. Chelsea Gray just comes to set a back, kind of a weird drag screen to the outside on Brianna Jones to get Wilson open. But watch what happens here. Alyssa Thomas recognizes that, so she jams Chelsea Gray so that she can't really get a good position and set that screen, which allows Brianna Jones just to go under and guard Wilson. Jones doesn't do a great job navigating this screen, so it's actually going to leave Wilson open for half a second. Instead, Alyssa Thomas just goes and guards her. Because of that, Alyssa Thomas now throws it back to Gray because Gray is going to have the mismatch on Jones. Alyssa Thomas goes and picks her up. Now, best player in the WNBA, one-on-one with a post player. Obviously, she should get a pretty decent look here, but again, this is where Alyssa Thomas notices that straight away and just knows that's the biggest danger. Kelsey Plum probably also shouldn't have cut there, but it doesn't matter because Carrington is going to have to guard that. So right here, Asia Wilson can't drive baseline because Kelsey Plum cut. She has to go middle. But then Alyssa Thomas, she just commits. She just knows, like, I have to go help. Forces that pass to the outside. This is where Harris does a good job at stunting, but she didn't need to. She didn't even need to stunt there because Alyssa Thomas is back. Harris has already made a couple defensive mistakes that Alyssa Thomas has just fixed. You don't need to help her like you need to help other teammates. And they give up an open catch here. Now they're in a scramble, and you can see it in Alyssa Thomas's face. She's like, you didn't need to help. I was fine. They get a good look and miss. So I would say that's a defensive breakdown. And you can see the frustration with Alyssa Thomas. That's a defensive breakdown, but not because of Thomas. She stopped 3 or 4 advantageous situations for the aces, and it just happened to be someone else misreading. Oh, wow. Yeah, just overthrows it. But geez, that's such a good, everything she just did. Now take that into context, right? So everything she just did on defense, gets the rebound, and then she's the one leading your break and throwing it ahead. Just a hair too far, but still, again, process, not results. Yeah, ends up in a turnover. Man, yeah, Connecticut's defense is really good. Another possession on an island. There's no help. No one has to help. Everyone should be denying their man pretty much when Alyssa Thomas is playing defense. Like, no one has to help. They mess this up quite a bit, and it's frustrating to watch now, but she's fine. She doesn't need any help. But yeah, Harris gets back cut. Bonner kind of fell asleep a little bit too. They weren't ready for this, but it still ends up being a turnover. Jesus, this woman. If you've ever played with a player like Alyssa Thomas, you'll notice this right here. Watch what she does. She's really good communicator. So little things like this. So when your point guard calls the play, she kind of echoes the play, or echoes what a player should do if they're in the wrong spot. So she just does a little bit of direction here. Nothing too big, but just watch this. Yep, she starts pointing, hey, we're going to this side. So she gets to this side. They set a double screen. You can see Jones was frustrated. Yeah, yep, you're right. They set it. Nothing. Swing it to Thomas now. Again, being a ball mover, you can just throw her the ball. Throws it into the post. Again, like I said, they wanted to really go at Wilson here. And she does the same thing. She doesn't throw it and watch. She throws it and starts cutting. And look, her defender is so worried about her now because she's been cutting. But honestly, that's one pass away. Like, you've got to be in the gaps there, and you need to dig down and help. But instead, just leaves it one-on-one. Another score. So while she's not scoring these baskets, she does create a ton of space and distraction. Again, ball mover here. Throw it through Thomas. Sets the ball screen. Rolls to the basket. Again, just a simple screen and roll, but you can just play through her. This is what Angel Reese needs to add to her game. Being able to catch outside the three and just go straight into a ball screen, straight into a pick and roll, dribble handoff, something. Just get into the next action. Same thing here. She actually is out of position on this play. Completely out of position. She does look to see where the players are. She gets lost for a split second, so she actually has to close out on Gray. Still gets a hand up, deters the shot, but just, again, one-on-one defense. No one even helps, really. No one helps because they've got faith that Alyssa Thomas can cover that. Chelsea Gray can't get to the basket, has to settle for this mid-range contested kind of fadeaway. It's actually 2 people able to contest this. Yeah, just great individual defense and effort. Gets the rebound, able to also lead the break. Wow. This is probably a much tougher shot than just shooting the open jump shot there. I've actually never really noticed how frustrated Alyssa Thomas gets with her teammates. Not in a bad way. Like, she's not like demonstrative, but you can tell, like, that energy and effort and passion. It's like her IQ. Her IQ is higher than her skill set. So she gets frustrated with the high skilled players not making the simple plays. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So I would say this is probably her weakness, is being able to score like quickly one-on-one. Her game is just not pretty. So when she gets put in awkward spots, sometimes things like this happen. So she's getting ready to get doubled. I mean, obviously she's open baseline, so she could just spin and attack middle, or just dribble out of this. I think just dribbling out of this, it's really tough to make this pass. Your teammates haven't cut early for you. Like, as soon as you see the double team, you got to cut and get to the spot early. They didn't do that. Instead, she just leans backwards. And so if you're a post player, especially in a double team, you can't lean backwards. You got to get low, protect your space, be on balance. She gets off balance quite a bit on offense, so I'd say that's probably her biggest weakness. Ends up turning it over. And then, yeah, that's nice. She's got 3 rebounds and 5 assists. It's 6.5 minutes in. So again, 2 to 3 plays in a row here where they've had to kick it ahead to Thomas, or she's got the rebound and led the break. This is just it's a luxury to have her on the offensive end, because if you don't have a point guard in at the moment, which they don't, you can just throw it to her. She can bring it up. But on defense too, she just fixes so many gaps. She's bringing the ball up, calling out the play, setting it up. That's not easy. Not easy to do. Not getting rushed. Screen and roll. Yeah, she's so effective. Just a lot of that sort of stuff, that IQ stuff, it's not going to show up on a stat sheet, but she's also filling up the stat sheet. Another drag screen out of transition, a rescreen. Yeah, wow, great shot. First of all, great pickup, Marina Mabry by the Connecticut Sun. But this play was good by Mabry, but again, this is just that kind of freestyle basketball. This isn't a play. It's just the secondary break. You'll notice a trend if you've looked at the other videos. This is like maybe 40% of the offense is transition. And we get this screen here. Not a great angle. If you don't get a good screen, no need to just go pick the ball up. No need for Alyssa Thomas to roll and get out of the way. Just rescreen. Get another one. So they get a rescreen here. Again, really tough to guard 2 screens in a row. Gets a good angle, probably a little bit of holding that, but again, she's crafty, very crafty, gets away with it. Mabry does a great job snaking back on this screen. So again, she probably doesn't have the foot speed here to just beat her on the outside. So she snakes back around to the middle, and then puts the defender in a really tough spot, because now when Thomas goes. Yeah, you can see that now when Thomas goes, it leaves her open for just a split second. And again, Mabry just tall enough now, defender out of position to just rise up and shoot that mid-range jump shot. Okay, again, just subtle things, okay, little things that I noticed as a coach. Bonner just brought it up, drove in. She shot it around 4 players. Not a great shot. Alyssa Thomas could do what we've been saying with some of these other players and get frustrated, put her head down and be like, why'd you shoot that? It was a bad shot, but I want you to watch this. So Vegas get the rebound. And look at Thomas. She's the furthest one back on the entire court. On the entire court, she is the furthest player back, other than Kelsey Plum here. So they're pretty even. Starts running straight away. She did a quick look to see where everyone else was at, realized nobody's on Plum, so she runs with her. She's not as fast as Plum, and she's about to get cut off. So instead of stopping, she runs to the next player. So if Plum did decide to pass that, she would be there on the closeout. Ends up not throwing it. Plum drives. Ends up missing. That's probably a good drive, but also that's a tough shot over Bonner. But then Alyssa Thomas now again starts leading your break the other way. These are the things. It's just baffling to me that it doesn't get talked about more. I understand why, because it's hard to notice these things. You can't see them in a box score, but that's not easy to do. Watching your teammate shoot a bad, fully highly contested shot, be the furthest one back, sprint ahead, get ahead of the ball, and then be the person now who has to bring it up and slow things down. This off-ball defense here, have a look. So Chelsea Gray sets a screen for A'ja Wilson. She sets this screen here. If you look, Alyssa Thomas bumps A'ja Wilson, so she doesn't just get an open pass straight from Kelsey Plum. So she steps up to bump this just to make it tough. So Kelsey Plum decides to go off this pick and roll. And then watch what happens here. Now she has to recover. So this is what good off-ball actions do. They put the player who helps in a closeout. We've already seen her do well on the closeout. So she gets there. She's able to deter the shot, holding it all down by herself again. No help. Bonner completely turns her back to the ball, which she shouldn't be doing. Standing in arm's length of Jackie Young on the opposite side. Like, everyone else is out of position, pretty much, other than Carrington. But it doesn't matter. Like, Chelsea Gray knows she can't drive on her. She's already tried multiple times. So now gets the pick and roll. Navigates this, so obviously they've been running drop coverage, which means she's supposed to fight over the top, but honestly it's by any means. So she ends up going under since there was no space over the top, and is still able to get there and get a hand up, which discourages Chelsea Gray on the shot, and they end up getting a deflection here. So again, it's just more individual brilliance by Alyssa Thomas. All right, so you would like to see Alyssa Thomas, probably all the way in the corner. We've spoken about this before, but again, basketball is not perfect, so it is what it is. But again, getting open shots, creating space, creating commotion, creating shots for your teammates without the ball in her hand. So she just goes, sets a simple flare screen on Kelsey Plum, which gives Carrington an opportunity to shoot. Sets the screen. Now Kelsey Plum has to think about this. So look at all that space that's created. She can't decide if she wants to go over and under, so Carrington has all day to shoot this three. Again, process-driven, not results-driven. Alyssa Thomas just creating stuff for her teammates. Ends up missing. But again, that's just value. You look at just the things she does, little things she does all the time. All these high IQ things are happening all the time. So, yeah. She's the type of player that you show your kids how to play basketball, or any sport for that matter. Passion, effort, IQ, all things that are in your control. To be honest, she doesn't even have a ton of skill, obviously, in comparison to a normal human. But at the elite level that she's at, she doesn't have a skill that just makes the game super easy for her. Think Draymond Green, Steven Adams, Boris Diaw type of player. Difference is, I think she does all the little things and fundamentals better than they do. Hopefully this video allowed you a lot more insights into like the more intricate parts of the game. It's not often I get to point out so many examples of high IQ and fundamental basketball in a single game with a single player especially. So that was incredible for me. Alyssa Thomas, you're very fun to watch. Thanks.